What's up, everyone, and welcome back to Christmas. We are still not at Christmas proper. We're not down here yet. We are still within the Christmas season, the season of Advent. We are, however, finally free from December 5th and 6th, St. Nicholas Day. And I want to jump ahead to December 8th, the Feast of the Immaculate Conception. So, Feast of the Immaculate Conception, celebrated as a national holiday in countries, obviously, with significant Catholic populations, including Latin countries and their former colonies, including Spain, Portugal, South and Central America, the Philippines, but then also the Alpine countries, Austria, Switzerland, Liechtenstein, Southern European countries like Italy, Monaco, Malta, San Marino, and obviously the Vatican, where they think Mary is pretty cool. If you are counting on your fingers, you might be saying to yourself, how can the Feast of the Immaculate Conception be on December 8th if Jesus was born on December 25th? Do the incarnate children of Near Eastern monogods have a different gestation period than the rest of us? That's the kind of, I assume exactly those words were going through your brain. The answer to that is that you are wrong about what the Immaculate Conception is. The Immaculate Conception is not the instance in which Jesus was conceived by Mary without going through the bone zone, when the Holy Spirit entered into her womb via the ear canal, like a weasel. You can look that up. I don't have time to explain that right now. But rather, the Feast of the Immaculate Conception refers to the conception of Mary without the stain of original sin. The word immaculate means without stain. The macula is the stain of original sin. Mary did not have that. That made her a suitable vessel for the only begotten large adult Son of God. So the Nativity of Mary is celebrated on September 8th, and I think you will find that satisfies your mathematical calculations to the very day. But as long as we're talking about the conception of Jesus, let's talk about that. If you do that math, the conception of Jesus would be March 25th, which is 9 months to the day before Christmas. It's celebrated on that date as the Feast of the Annunciation, celebration of the angel Gabriel announcing to Mary that she will give birth unto a son. However, within Christian traditions, March 25th is also the date on which Jesus was crucified. It was a long-standing tradition that Jesus was conceived and crucified on the same day. Now also, why is it thematically resonant that Jesus be crucified on March 25th? Well, it turns out that March 25th was also supposed to be the date of the fall of man, the day that Adam and Eve ate the bad fruit and got kicked out of the garden, the day that sin entered in the world. And so the idea is that sin entered the world and the world was redeemed of sin on the same date. But also, March 25th is supposed to be the date in which Lucifer fell from heaven, the date at which Moses and the Israelites crossed the Red Sea out of Egypt. It's also the date of the binding of Isaac, not the video game, but the event where Abraham almost killed his son Isaac. That was my cat. I'm not editing that out. What you get is real. It's incredibly real. You're getting a slice of my life right now, and my cat being a jerk on the other side of the room, knocking stuff off the tables. Anyway, so the point is, because of the date of March 25th being so significant in Christian traditions, that's why I'm personally skeptical of the explanation that Christmas is on December 25th, specifically to try to supplant pagan traditions like Saturnalia or the birthday of Sol Invictus. To me, Christmas is on December 25th because it's 9 months after March 25th, which is the most important day in human history. So, yeah, Also, why was the fall of man on March 25th? Because creation was supposed to have happened on the spring equinox. So first day of spring, first day of the world. Kind of nice. So you got a few days later before human beings ruin the whole thing. Anyway, despite the fact that the Feast of the Immaculate Conception is often celebrated with parades, fireworks, food and dance, traditional costumes, that kind of stuff, and also in Panama, in the country of Panama, it's the equivalent of Mother's Day. That makes sense, right? The Blessed Virgin Mother. Why not celebrate all mothers on that day? But that's not really the reason we're looking at it in conjunction with Christmas. December 8th is considered the official kickoff of Christmas in Italy, but that's also not why. The reason I wanted to talk about December 8th is because of this log. This very good, happy log boy right here, his name is Tio de Nadal, which is Catalan for Christmas log, the log of Christmas. It is a popular Christmas tradition in Catalonia, which is this area right here, but also parts of Aragon. Not all of Aragon, but the parts that are close to Catalonia. These are autonomous communities within Spain, and they have their own separate languages and dialects that they speak. They have their own cultures separate from Castilian Spanish. Yeah, here in Catalonia, they have the Tio de Nadal, the Christmas log. In Aragon, they call him the Tizon de Nadal, or the Toza, which I believe means like the trunk. So, since it's Catalan, Tio means log. It doesn't mean uncle. You'll sometimes see someone talk about the Christmas uncle, but that's because they think that it's Spanish and not Catalan. That's why it's Nadal and not Navidad. Catalan and Spanish are related languages. They are not identical. So anyway, the Tio de Nadal is a hollow log, usually about a foot long, though sometimes bigger. It's got a face painted on one end, usually a three-dimensional nose, often painted red, though it's not on these examples. It's propped up on usually 2 feet in the front. Sometimes it's got 2 more in the back. Often, but not always, wears a traditional Catalan hat, the batatina here, and it eventually gets covered with a blanket in the back. And starting on December 8th, the Feast of the Immaculate Conception, children begin feeding the Tio with things like nuts, dried fruit, peels from their oranges, again, popular Christmas treat, and then water. So you start feeding your Tio every day. This one obviously is quite a bit longer than 1 foot, but okay. But you see the blanket in the back, you see the head, the face, and everything. Here you see this child feeding weird garbage scraps to his happy face log. Children want to take good care of the Tio, and they want to feed him a lot because a healthy and well-fed Tio will poop a lot of presents on Christmas Day. You're correct. You did not mishear me. I did say poop. I said poop. On Christmas Day, what happens is the children hit the Tio with sticks, and via song, they command it to poop. The Tio does not poop, though. It poops presents and treats. Look at all this candy. We got chocolate and candy canes. Gingerbread man. These things came out of this guy's butt. Anyway, the kind of treats and the gifts that it poops, you can hear in the lyrics to one of the traditional songs. Here you can see, here's the children hitting the Tio. Boom, 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 boom. Hit that guy. And then you sing, poop log, poop turon, hazelnuts, and matto cheese. If you don't poop well, I'll hit you with the stick. Poop log, log of Christmas. Don't poop herrings, they're too salty. Poop turon, they are tastier. Those are the lyrics to the song of a traditional Tio de Nadal song. Here's turon. This is what turon is. It is a nougat, traditionally made with honey, sugar, egg whites, and some kind of nut, usually almonds. It's formed into like a round cake or little rectangular bricks, kind of like you see here, approximately poop-sized. It is a common Christmas treat in Spain and Italy. Matto cheese, another thing the children demanded to come out of a log's butt, is a soft, unsalted Catalan cheese made from either cow's milk or goat's milk, and it's usually served with honey as a dessert. You can see here, there's mato and miel, that's honey, and then you got some walnuts there. Looks very tasty. Anyway, because of the song, the Tio de Nadal is also commonly known, and probably outside of Catalonia, more commonly known as Caga-Tio, which means the poop log. Caga being, it's a command in the song, right? Poop log, but Caga being related to caca, like you might know in English. But yeah, Caga-Tio, the poop log. So Caga-Tio doesn't leave big presents usually, since those are brought by the three kings at Epiphany. But usually small treats, like we said, it's thrown cheese, candies, nuts, dried figs, small toys. I did see a video on YouTube of a kid who definitely got an Xbox out of a log's butt. But so usually the way it works is that parents tell their kids to go to the other room, go pray that Caga-Tio will poop some good presents, or since prayer is becoming less in fashion, they say go warm up your hitting sticks by the fire. And anyway, while the kids are in the other room, the parents sneak a bunch of presents under the blanket, and then they come in, they sing the song, they whack the log, they pull back the blanket, and they hit and sing until the pooping's done, and all the presents are pooped out. And you know the pooping is done when a herring comes out, which, as the song says, too salty, less tasty than a Chiron. And then the family often then burns their festive benefactor for warmth. It's like the giving tree. If the giving tree also had nut-heavy diarrhea. So anyway, Caga-Tio, Tio de Nadal, is not the only poop-based Christmas tradition in Catalonia. The other is the Coganaire. Here's that guy right there as seen from front and back. The word Coganaire, you might hear caga in there again. Coganaire means the pooper. It's a popular decoration to include in Catalan nativity scenes. You know, you've got your Jesus, your baby Jesus, your Mary, Joseph, shepherds, wise men, donkeys, sheep, and then you got a dude in the back doing a deuce. Very traditional, just regular Christmas stuff. So nobody knows exactly when or why the tradition of the Coganaire started, but we know it goes back to at least the late 17th century. There's all sorts of theories about what it means, like maybe it's just supposed to be a lighthearted counterpoint to the otherwise solemn proceedings surrounding the Nativity. Maybe it's a sign that Jesus will come when you least expect it, literally catching us with our pants down. Or maybe it's a pre-Christian fertility thing. Maybe they just think poop is funny. Nobody knows. Anyway, typically what happens is you hide the Coganaire somewhere in a large, elaborate nativity scene. This one's not that large. There's many much larger ones, but they would represent the entire city of Bethlehem and not just the manger. Also, obviously, this person was having some fun, adding some gnomes, a little cow there, a little nutcracker action going on over there. Who knows? Anyway, then you hide the Coganaire somewhere, and then children, they have to search through the whole city looking for the hidden pooper. In this case, there he is. Did you find him? Where's Waldo? He's over here pooping. So the thing is, the Coganaire is the most popular nativity figure in Catalonia, and there are a huge variety of such figures available for sale. You can see there's Homer Simpson, there's SpongeBob, Betty Boop, Hello Kitty, Goku. How many poops does Goku do? Over 9,000. Captain America, there he is. All sorts of soccer players that I don't care about because I live in America. So the traditional Coganaire is the one I showed you at first, the one who's dressed like a peasant in the white shirt, the red baratina. But the thing is, you can buy Coganaires that look like politicians. There's Donald Trump. You can tell because it says his name, and also his hair is made of gold. But you can get athletes. There's Tiger Woods. You can get celebrities. There's Elvis Presley. You could get cartoon characters like the Little Mermaid with her human butthole. Doing a poop, stick it out of her fish butt. You can get British royalty. You can get animals of various stripes, You can get famous artists. You can get superheroes. You can get Star Wars people. You can get a little Minecraft fellow. A missed opportunity not to give him a square poop. What were you doing? These are all from Coganaire.com, by the way. These are for sale. You can buy them. They're usually 12 to 16 euros, so not too bad. About 20 bucks, really. Worth it. But anyway, the point is, you can get whatever you want. Any of these things. You get that Homer Simpson, get that Hello Kitty, whatever. They're all squatting down with their pants down, doing a poop coiled up under their butt. Or, pro move, you can do what I do, get a twofer where you get a Coganaire that is also the Cogatio, and you'll notice that here he poops a little present and not a little coiled turd like the other ones. Anyway, so while we're on the topic of unusual gift bringers of non-Castilian communities of Spain, let's let that train keep going. So Castilian is the language you probably think of when you think of Spanish. When I say Spanish to you, that's Castilian Spanish. So the various communities of Spain, however, they have their own traditional languages and cultures, and sometimes those languages and cultures are related to Castilian Spanish and Castilian culture, but not always. The biggest of those is Catalan, which we were just talking about, spoken in Catalonia and neighboring communities, which is related to Spanish. Not too far off, but let's hit some of the others today. So, the main gift bringers in Spain are the three kings. Here they are, los tres reyes magos, the three wizard kings. There they are. So not just Spain, but most Spanish-speaking countries, they come at Epiphany, but we're not at Epiphany yet on the calendar. You'll remember we're at December 8th, although that is just kind of that was a pretense to talk about these Spanish Christmas things. Anyway, but of course there's all, the popularity of American Santa, Papa Noel, right? Father Christmas, he's creeping in at the seams. But Spain is a host to a number of super interesting Christmas figures besides the pooping log. So if we were to go west from Catalonia, we hop over into the Basque Country. If we go in here, so Basque, unlike Catalan, is a language that is not at all related to Spanish, and in fact, doesn't seem to be related to any other language at all whatsoever. It is incredibly strange, and it's not Indo-European, if that means anything to you. It is completely different from any other European language. It's quite weird, but cool. In the Basque Country, the Christmas gift bringer is a gentle giant known as Olencero. Here he is. You can see him sitting on a stump. He's got a big bottle of wine, his little lantern there, his cool beret, whatever, right? So the origin of his name is unclear. Might come from Basque elements meaning this good season or the season of the good ones, which would make it roughly equivalent to the Spanish term for Christmas Eve, which is Noche Buena, the good night, right? So this is the good season. Christmas Eve is a good night. Anyway, so according to legend, Olencero is the last of a race of giants who are known as the Yintalak, who were a pre-Christian race responsible for building various megalithic structures in the Basque Country. The idea is that one of the elders of the Yintalak sees a cloud, which he interprets correctly as a portent, an omen of the coming birth of Christ. He realizes that the age of giants is over, and according to whatever, depending on the version, either all the giants decide to just leave the earth, or the elder giant says to the others, "Throw me off a cliff. It's over, boys." And when they do, the other ones all trip and fall, and they die too, except for Olencero, who is the only one who stays behind and embraces Christianity. So since that time, he's depicted as a charcoal burner, meaning that he takes bits of wood and burns them into charcoal, right, is the idea. He lives in the woods, and he spends the year carving toys for children. He's usually depicted as a pleasant peasant in a traditional Basque clothing, including the beret. Often he's got like a sheepskin thing around him. He's jolly, usually fat. He's got a big appetite, smoking a pipe, incredibly common. And often he's dirty with like coal dust. And then on Christmas Eve, children, or in this case, adults who are also, you can kind of see dressed like, kind of like Olencero, or coal burners. You can see they've got some smudgy faces here, but they carry an effigy of Olencero through the town. And the children sing songs, and then they ask, this is probably just a standard parade, but like the children will go through and sing songs, or they'll go around basically like trick or treat. They go door to door and they get handed treats and all. And then in some areas, but not all of them, the effigy of Olencero gets burned at the end, and there's a bonfire. Bonfire is pretty traditional kind of thing. But before the modern revival of the practice of Olencero in the 1950s, trying to counteract, influence of American culture, Olencero, like a lot of these figures, had some scarier aspects to him, kind of like the Krampus a little bit. The idea was, he would roam the streets with a sickle, and he would threaten children who were out too late if they were out after dark. So it was a warning to make sure kids were in bed and in the house in time. And if they didn't go to bed early enough, he would throw a sickle down the chimney as a threat that he would slit their throats open. Obviously, that's not how they do now. Now he's just kind of a jolly dude, right? He's a jolly dude. He likes to eat pork, and he likes to drink wine. A lot of times he's got a beard. Sometimes he doesn't, right? You can see here, clean shaven. A lot of times he's a little more Santa-esque with a kind of gray beard. Again, he's got songs like Cogatio does. Let's see what this song has to say about Olencero. Our Olencero, we can't sate him. He has eaten 10 piglets, ribs and pork loin, so many intestines, because Jesus is born. Have mercy. Olencero brings happiness and joy, because he has heard on the mountain of Jesus' birth. On this bright day, heart rejoice, outside and inside, quickly lose the chill. So, cool. So many intestines because Jesus is born. Anyway, what's also, good for Olencero. He's even got a wife now. Good job, buddy. Who's a figure who has gained popularity since she was introduced in the mid-1990s. Her name is Mari Domingi. Here she is right here. So here's obviously a bearded Olencero. Pipe, beret, he's good. But here she is. She accompanies Olencero in Christmas processions and also in delivering presents in her incredibly cool hat. This is kind of her key attribute. If you Google Mari Domingi, you'll see. Sometimes people, I think, go out of their way to make it like wicked tall. Very cool, good hat, Mari Domingi. Not a lot of information about her. She's supposed to be a shepherdess, and she loves baked apples. So leave some baked apples out for Mari Domingi on Christmas Eve. Needless to say, there's also Olencero Coganaire. There he is, with his lantern and beret and his pipe and his poop. All right. If we move west from the Basque Country, that takes us to Cantabria, which is a region which is rich with mythology. Their gift bringer is one who's fairly similar to Olencero, to the point where I could show you that guy, and you might think he's the same. But theirs in Cantabria is a woodcutter, not a charcoal burner, but a woodcutter named Asteru, whose name might be related to a word that has to do with a large measure of wood, because he's a woodcutter. He often looks a lot like Olencero with a pipe and a beret. He usually has a beard, and one thing that sets him apart from Olencero, instead of a wife, he's got a donkey whose name is El Burro, which means the donkey. And you can see Asteru and El Burro in a not particularly good animated movie. It's on Netflix last I checked. I don't know. Called Yuletide Christmas. It has another name too, but I think if you search Yuletide Christmas, you'll find it. But the thing is, I believe the original language of that movie is Basque, and so they actually call him Olencero, even though otherwise he more closely seems to resemble Asteru. That's, they're neighboring areas, they're very similar figures, so whatever. He changes into an owl at one point, which is not a thing I have seen attested anywhere. If you are from Cantabria or from the Basque Country, please let me know, can your Christmas man change into an owl? Needless to say, in the English dub of the movie, they just call him Santa Claus. even though he looks like this, because he's got a white beard, so obviously Santa. Yuletide Christmas is the name of that movie. Anyway, but other Cantabrian figures also are associated with Christmas, and they include the good fairies, the Anhanas, who they're not just Christmas, they're part of the kind of standard Cantabrian mythology, so they're out year round, and one of their main things that they do is they protect people from the Ohancanos, which are giant red-haired cyclopes with 10 toes on each foot and sometimes 10 fingers on each hand. This drawing doesn't have that, but they have a wild, messy red beard, a single eye, big teeth. They're giants. And the only way to defeat them is to find the one single white hair within their giant tangle of beard. And the Anhanas are perfectly good at swooping around, avoiding the swats of these giant one-eyed beasts, finding that one white hair, plucking it out, and killing them. The female versions of these are even weirder and grosser, but we don't have time for that now. You can Google it. Anyway, the Anhanas are supposed to bring presents to poor children in the Cantabrian community, and every 4 years they're supposed to bring an especially large shipment of gifts. They come on January 5th. That's Epiphany Eve, not Christmas. So most families, I expect, would be looking for a steru on Christmas Eve. Poor families hope to receive gifts from the good fairies on January 5th. And every 4 years, an extra good set of toys. All right, if we move west from Cantabria, we get to Asturias. And Asturias has their own gift bringer, and he is definitely a modern creation. A lot of these other ones are modern revivals of ancient and medieval traditions that had died out. But in the case of Asturias, their guy was definitely created about 10 years ago. Again, to try and focus on local traditions rather than simply succumbing to the will of the American Santa Claus. Their guy's name is Angulero. Here he is, or Longulero, the Angulero, because the name means the eel fisherman. He lives most of the year out in the Sargasso Sea, where there are a lot of eels. That's where eels come from. And then on December 1st, he begins his trip across the Atlantic Ocean, making his way to Asturias. The trip takes 24 days, so he arrives on Christmas Eve, which in Asturian is called Noche Bona. So Castilian Spanish, it would be Noche Buena, but in Asturian, it's Noche Bona. So that's a weird change between the two languages. Anyway, then he fishes all night, and Christmas Eve is supposed to be the best night for eel fishing, until finally his boat, called the Angulina, which is also derived from the word that means eel, until it's full of eels, and then he takes it to the fish market, he sells all the eels, and then he uses the money to buy a bunch of presents and toys for kids, and he sails his boat down the river Nalon to the city of Llarena, and then there's a big parade. He delivers the presents to the children. According to a source I saw, they have Christmas trees that are made out of fishing nets and buoys. Couldn't find photos of that, so grain of salt, but it sounds cool, and I hope it's true. And Angulero receives from children as a reward for his hard work something to eat and drink, and also apparently handmade woolly hats to keep him warm out on the wide Sargasso Sea. I hope that is true as well. So yeah, Angulero, cool guy. And then finally, west of Asturias is Galicia, where their gift bringer is the Apalpador, who's another figure who had been long forgotten but was revived in recent years. His name means the toucher, or the feeler, or the groper. None of those sound good. Presumably it sounds less bad in Galician. He has some alternative names. Pandaguero. I forget the other ones. But you can recognize him by his big red beard and usually green or brown, like patchy clothing. Again, big belly and a pipe like the other guys. And he lives up in the mountains, and like Olancero, he's a coal burner. He spends most of the year making charcoal and eating wild berries and wild honey and hunting wild boar. And then, depending on where you live, either Christmas Eve or New Year's Eve, he comes down from the mountain. He goes house to house while the children are asleep. And then this is where he gets his name from. He goes up to each child and he gently pats their belly, like womp womp. That was me patting my belly. And to hear if they are full or empty. And then, if they're full, then he's like, good, I hope the whole rest of the year is like this. And if they're empty, then he's like, oh, I got to do something about this. And so to keep their bellies full throughout the whole year, he leaves them a big pile of chestnuts. And now, because he is a modern Christmas figure, he also has to leave presents. So not just chestnuts, but presents, toys, candy, or new clothes down at the foot of the bed. A Palpador, cool guy. He's got songs too. You can look him up. You can find him on YouTube. You can find a guy like this dressed in a red wig and a fake beard, and they sing a song in Galician, which is like Spanish but not. So maybe you could follow it. I don't know. But anyway, if you travel west from Galicia, you end up in the Atlantic Ocean. So I think that's a good place to stop this week. So we'll get back to Spain later, as you might guess, once we get to Epiphany. So later on in our calendar, the next page of the calendar, we'll get there. But for next week, I think next week we'll head to the land of fire and ice, and we'll see what creeps out of the lava fields. So until then, have a good Christmas.